There we go. That's what we want to see. Okay, so we're getting a little too much airspeed. We'll start kind of leveling it off just a little bit, ever so slightly. And start pulling that throttle out. We got the runway made. Now you're going to need some right rudder. Right rudder. There you go. Keep that nose point down. Pull that throttle out. Left aileron. And start transitioning your eyes. Keep that nose up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Throttle all the way out. Look at that.
Best landing ever.
Look at that. And we're going to go past this taxiway. We want to hold that nose pressure back, keep that aerodynamic, and we're going to brake in a straight line here. Okay. Very good.
And
let's go ahead and we'll do our 180-degree turn.
Okay.
Titusville traffic, Cardinal 11625 is going to be back taxiing on runway 19er, Titusville. And what we'll do is we'll get off at the taxiway here, and we'll kind of taxi all the way back, and we'll talk just a little bit there, okay?
Gotcha. But who would have thunk it that a windy day had a land like that? I was expecting the worst.
Sometimes when you have a stronger wind, you can feel your control inputs more, right?
Yeah.
So you get a better sense of what you need and what you don't need. So, I mean, there for a little bit, that wind was really coming, you know, a strong quartering wind. It's not like a true crosswind. I mean, any wind would be a crosswind like that, but you could really see the nose was pointing this way, even though our bodies are traveling this direction. So you know you need that much right rudder to really keep the nose on the center line.
Right.
So, you know, we'll kind of do an abridged version here as far as like after landing. Cow flaps, don't worry about it. Carpet, that's off. Go ahead and put your flaps up. And pretty much everything else we're going to leave as is because we're going to be taking off again. So,
all right.
And we visually look, flaps are up. So we'll start taxiing back. So, awesome. Much better with the altitude as far as, you know, being in the traffic pattern to start with. And that's where it all starts, okay?
Yep.
After we got kind of past a beam, our touchdown point, and I said, you know, that's when we start descending. You were descending a little bit too fast there. We corrected it and kind of leveled off a little bit just to maintain our altitude, so we weren't, you know, descending more. The biggest critique I would have on coming in on final, okay, we want to keep the nose pointed down. And if we need to, we don't ever want to gain altitude on final. If anything, we just want to level off.
Okay.
So we'll keep going to the right here past the pumps, and maintain that altitude. Now, obviously, if you're doing a go-around, you're going to climb back up to your altitude, but as we're coming into land on final, we want that nose pointed down pretty much the whole time, or just bringing it back a little bit to maintain where our altitude is. As we've done with our lessons, your throttle is going to control your altitude, and your pitch, your stabilator, that's going to control your airspeed. So there for a couple times, our airspeed was getting, you know, down to about 60 knots, and that's when the stall warning horn was going off.
Uh-huh.
So at that point, you need to push the nose down more to get that airspeed back to 70 as we're coming in on final.
Okay.
And we're going to need that higher airspeed today because the wind is a little bit stronger than what we've been doing. We still want to touch down, though, at 65 knots. Okay?
All right.
What questions do you have about what happened on that one.
Maybe not a question, but a comment. Thank
Yep.
you very much for the go round call. I was feeling very rushed there, and not only was that a good decision for what we're doing, or what we're doing here today, but that was nice to know when to do the call, go around, because I mean that was perfect.
And
Things were not coming together at all. I couldn't get over how fast the tailwind was pushing us as far as ground speed. I mean, that was just remarkable. But then the second time around, I was ready for it, and I kind of...
Yeah. And, I mean, it was good practice for all of us. I mean, it's always better to do a go-around. I will always say, especially that first time, when you turn from our base to our final leg here, okay, and it doesn't matter which runway, if you, and we'll use my hand as an example, okay, if this is the runway, as we're on our base leg, if the tip of my finger is the airplane, and we overshoot that final,
just keep going.
Just keep going and get back up. Because when you're so far out and you come back, you got a slow airspeed, you're putting in a whole lot of bank. The probability or chances that you're going to stall and spin that aircraft are so much higher, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I can't tell you. I've always thought of it as, that's dead man's curve right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're low, you're slow, and you're dirty. You got your flaps in, things like that. So it's more dangerous to try and correct and get back on center line than it is just to do a go around and do it again.
Right.
Okay. So I think that's a great teaching point, great teaching example. So
yeah, dead man's curve. I'm going to remember that. If I see it way over here, go around.
Exactly.
Go around.
So.
Okay, so we want to do our...
Nope. At this point we don't need to do a run up or anything like that. We've been flying the airplane. Everything seems to be working fine. So we've got everything cleaned up. We're gonna go right back on out. So, and we'll make the radio call here. Titusville traffic. Cardinal 11625 will be departing runway 19er, remaining left close traffic. Titusville. And what we'll do at this point, I'll just work on handling the radio calls for us so you can focus on flying.
Okay.
And it'll just be one less thing you have to worry about. But I don't see anyone coming in on final. And then as we get used to, or as you get more comfortable with the controls and the checkpoints and, what you have to do here in the traffic pattern, we'll get it and have you enter. I'll get the words out. We'll introduce more radio calls to you as we do this, okay?
Gotcha. Okay, so it looks like we have a pretty good headwind just right now, so I don't see anything to correct with ailerons.
Yep.
Flaps are up. We're good to go. Ready?
Yep. Let's rock and roll. Full power. Right rudder, very good.
Airspeed's alive.
A little more right rudder will keep us right on that center line. There you go. Very nice. Now, already at this point, lower the nose just a little bit, okay? Because that's going to build our airspeed, because we want to climb out at VY, or 80 knots at this. And, I mean, our cowling, the top of our cowling should be just over the horizon.
Okay.
Much better. There we go. And much better with the pullback for the takeoff. Much smoother, but forceful in this. I don't know what it is about this plane, but when it comes to the rotation, you do have to give that little bit more pullback. We're right at 80 knots. This is looking good. Right on runway heading. so let's go ahead and start pulling that throttle back. And we can start turning crosswind. Ticeville traffic, Cardinal 11625 is crosswind for runway 19er, Ticeville. So about 2,300 RPMs.
We had prop pulled back a little bit there.
So yeah, so this time, if you want to keep it a little bit farther out for that downwind, I'm totally okay with that, especially, you know, with that little bit of a quartering wind there pushing us in.
Look at it. Talk about feeling like a kite.
Now, one thing I did forget to have you do, okay, so shame on me at bad CFI. I did forget to have you put in the full props when we turned to final, okay? And the idea is if we do have to do a go-around, then that'll give us our maximum performance as far as climbing up.
Sure.
Okay. Plus, believe it or not, it does help slow down the airplane as well. So we'll just watch that altitude.